but I don't know if it's working. It's not on like it needs to be, and I can't get it to.
Is the remote need new batteries?
I don't think so. I just can't get it to. What?
That's okay. It's working.
Huh?
It's working. This is where it works for me. You shouldn't quite do it.
I'm not.
You're quite ready.
Now it's like, are they doing the whole thing? Okay. All right, here we go. Are we live? Good morning. Those of you online, if you're here online, you've noticed that we are not necessarily completely organized at the beginning, but we're going to do a good job. Good morning. My name is my name is David Coleman, and I'm your worship assistant today. India Taylor, thankfully, is going to be doing our music. Joe is going to be our usher, if Joe were here. So Javier is going to step in for that. Ann King's in charge of the PowerPoint slides, and Laura is our AV expert. There's a special thank you to Maria and Sherry for taking care of distributing the prayers to our prayer group and Silent Unity each week. Thank you all for being part of our service today. I don't see anybody that I don't already know, so everyone is here. You will notice that we have activities, of course, listed on our website, and they're also in your bulletin. If you have any questions, ask this guy behind me or a board member, and they will be happy to tell you more. And now for the announcements. Today is the middle of the month. The jackets, of course, please leave them. Take the inside if you would like. At the end of the month, you can take the jackets if you're so inclined. We have a May and June, daily word at the back. They're free. If you don't have one, take two. Give it to somebody else. We're collecting dry goods and toiletries. I noticed when I put it out today that our basket was empty. And so please, let's fill that thing up. We have several groups each month. Some are live and some are on Zoom. They're listed in the insert and also on our website, unityofboerne.org. And the book study we're doing from 9:30 to 10:30, and it's The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, an older book, but boy, are we getting through it just fine. Lots of discussion, a little bit of reading, some coffee, but we're having a good time. So I think it's now time for us to do our celebration song. And if you will, please stand.
I see abundance everywhere, God's rich supply beyond compare. 'Tis ours to use and to enjoy, His gift to us without alloy. Prosperity, prosperity, I know my own shall come to me. God sends His children joy and peace, good health and wisdom and increase. And we are grateful, voices raised to Thee, O God, in hymns of praise. I pray that I may ever be in sweet communion, Lord, with Thee, upheld, protected by Thy hand, secure in Thy dear care I stand. Prosperity, prosperity, I know my own shall come to me. God sends His children joy and peace, and health and wisdom and increase. And we are grateful, voices raised to Thee, O God, in hymns of praise. There is no lack, all bountiful, His love provides, how beautiful. To know God guides us on our way, sustains and blesses us each day. Prosperity, prosperity, I know my own shall come to me. God sends His children joy and peace, good health and wisdom wisdom and increase, and we are grateful voices raised to thee, O God, in hymns of praise.
Thank you, and please be seated. And those that have just come in, take a seat wherever you can. We have lots of them down here. Inside your bulletin, you'll see a prayer request form for any prayer request. You can drop them in the offering basket later. They will be put in with our other prayer requests. Our own prayer team prays over them for a week. Reverend Jay does the things that he does with them, and then they're sent to Silent Unity and prayed over for a month. And now we have the daily word. Ann Gully.
As we quietly and gently prepare for the reading of the daily word, remember that we're in spirit with millions of daily word readers and churches throughout the world. The Christ candle is lit as a reminder of the Spirit of God within all of us, which we call the Christ within. The word for today is appreciation, and the affirmation is, I express appreciation for my many blessings. It's been said that what I appreciates. The more I give thanks for what I have, the more blessings I will discover. Practicing gratitude in all circumstances help me realize how abundantly blessed I am. When I remember all the good that God is, more good is revealed to me. Taking a breath, I give thanks for life. Opening my eyes, I give thanks for the clarity of spiritual vision. Listening deeply, I give thanks for divine wisdom. With each bite of food, every sip of water, I feel grateful for my body and physical senses. There is so much to appreciate, from the small everyday things to life's most grand events. Giving thanks with my whole heart brings me joy. I practice appreciation for all that I am and all that I have and all that I do. And the scripture verse is from Psalms 9:1. I will give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart. I will tell all of your wonderful deeds. And if you want to do the affirmation with me, I express appreciation for all my blessings. My name is Ann Gully, and I thank you for worshiping with Unity of Boerne today.
Thank you, Ann. Please stand as we sing our joy song, Confident Living.
Confident living, banner of mine, comes from the Spirit with glorious light. Confident living cleanses my soul, giving the Spirit fullest control. Confident living rights every wrong, dynamic power helps me be strong. Confident living comforts my heart, from such a blessing I can't depart. Confident living helps me expand visions of value, the kingdom at hand. Confident living, talent to win, gift of the Spirit moves from within. Confident living rights every wrong, dynamic power helps me be strong. Confident living comforts my heart, from such a blessing I can't depart. Confident living keeps me aware, ever the true love is found everywhere. Confident living fulfills my way, opens my channels without delay. Confident living rights every wrong, dynamic power be strong. Confident living comforts my heart. From such a blessing I can't depart.
Thank you very much. And now, our mission statement. We say this together. Unity of Boerne is a vibrant, loving, spiritual community providing a sacred space for personal growth. We honor and celebrate the Christ within all people. Thank you, and please be seated. Now, I'll turn over the service to Reverend Jay. Thank you very much, Jay. And
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Welcome to this service of Unity of Boerne. I'm so glad to be with you, and I hope you're glad to be here, and that you will find, as you experience this service, what I speak about this morning, this thing called grace. I want to get ahead of myself. Right now is the time that we bring our concerns and our troubles, our upsets, the things that form what we call the human experience, to the divine within us. I do have to say, personally, yesterday morning, a friend of 50 years passed unexpectedly. She was a wonderful, wonderful light to all who knew her. And I ask that you keep the Kilpatrick, Kaler, and Fox family in your prayers. She was married to Lou Fox, the city manager, and if those of you who are here for my father's memorial service a few years ago, they were here. And this was totally unexpected, and I got to say, this one kind of hit me. But this is what happens in our human experience, and we know that we can't drift above and beyond God's loving care. So right now, I ask you to write down, if you'd like, your prayer requests. They're in little square part of your bulletin. You can put it in the box as Sherry comes forward, or you can hold it in your mind and your heart. Spirit knows what we have need of before we give utterance. So as she comes forward, Sherry comes forward, I ask you to give your prayer requests to her or hold them in your mind as we enter this time of united prayer. Thank you, Sherry. Oh, loving Spirit, here we are again. We ask that you touch us in the places that we need, and that we know that you are the light by which we live, and that these requests that are represented in this box are touched by you, and that your divine will of good is done. We know good is the law of our lives, the law of the universe, and all things work together for good. To those who hurt this morning, I ask that your tender touch be there to heal and guide. To those who are in joy this morning, we know you're the Lord of the dance. The presence of his Spirit was joy. You are our light no matter what we go through. Whatever it is that we call negative, positive, you are there. We hold to the divine truth that you are the outworking of good, and we are receptive this morning. Be with those who mourn. Be with those who meet unexpected situations today. And for those who have lost hope, let them know you are the ground of being and the light by which they can live. We offer this in complete and total surrender and sincerity and love. And so it is. Amen.
This song by Karen Drucker is about noticing the gifts of grace and abundance in our lives. And you might have heard this one before. Feel free to join in and sing along. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. Thank you for my health, Spirit, thank you for my health. Thank you for my health, Spirit, thank you for my health. My radiant, my radiant, my radiant health. My radiant, my radiant, my radiant health. Thank you for my wealth, Spirit, thank you for my wealth. Thank you for my wealth, Spirit, thank you for my wealth. My opulent, my opulent, my opulent wealth. My opulent, my opulent, my opulent wealth. Thank you for my life, Spirit, thank you for my life. Thank you for my life, Spirit, thank you for my life. My glorious, my glorious, my glorious life. My glorious, my glorious, my glorious life. Every day I say thank you for this day. Thank you. In the midst of his children, the Lord said that he would be. It doesn't take very many. It can be just 2 or 3. And I feel that same sweet spirit that I felt of times before. Surely I can say I've been with the Lord. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel his mighty power and his grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel his mighty power and his grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
This is a time in our service where we're privileged to meditate, contemplate, visualize, but most of all, accept the love and the truth that we can release those things that are less than what we want, that we may have accrued through the week or through the months or through the years, because every moment is a now moment. We meditate in this church in the silence. I say a few words of truth to begin with, and then we allow Spirit to do its work. You do know that you are a bright and shining emanation of God, on purpose, set apart to do a mighty work that's your purpose. And so in the upcoming silence, I invite you to remember this, to bring this to the forefront of your mind and allow the healing, allow the touch of the divine right here and now. And as we gently bring ourselves back to this present moment, I declare that what you have affirmed is true, and that your good is on its way to you in certain ways, under grace and in perfect timing. We give thanks for this moment of regeneration and recreation, and we say it is so, and so it is.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
You're welcome.
And Miss Kai Fox, this one's for you. She personified grace. And that just happens to be what I'm talking about this morning. How many times have you heard the words grace used theologically? When we've heard that, it's usually something that has to do with a divine dispensation where God will just love you anyway, even though you're a mess or a rat or a worm. You're loved, okay? The grace that I'm talking about this morning is entirely different. And I'd like to spend these next few moments talking with you about what I think is a misunderstood theological term. Metaphysically, grace is the ability to create your life and the time to do it given by your creation by God. In other words, it is also, well, it is that, and it is also more. It is the ability to think a thought and not have it manifest right away. I give you an example. How many times have you thought that you wouldn't want what you're thinking to manifest right away? In other words, I have, in my life, I've said, oh, this is just an awful day and I'm dead tired. Now, I don't do that much anymore at all, but there was a time that I did. I wouldn't want that to happen right away. Grace is a time that's stretched out for you so that you can have the opportunity in prayer and meditation to say, do I really want that? Did I really mean what I said when I said those negative words over my life? I've told you that I've had an unholy relationship with I-10. And it has been going on for lots of years, what they're doing out there. And over a period of time, my relationship has evolved in a better way. I am now saying I see wonderful roadways where people speed to their no, not necessarily speed, but go to their destinations in happiness, health, and harmony. You see, it's a little switch that takes it out of the ego and puts it into spirit. So grace also is a time limit. If I said to you right now, there's a red Cadillac in this place, and that happened right away, that would not be for our good. So you see, grace is also the ability to get into a flow, but not necessarily have it happen right away. It gives you an opportunity to go back and say, in times of prayer and meditation, do I really want this? Is what I'm thinking about what I want to bring about? Am I checking myself, giving myself a checkup from the neck up? But I'd like to go deeper this morning into the metaphysics of this thing called grace. I believe that we live by frequencies in our minds. And I've talked in a general way about, living in the station, the radio station LOVE or WGOD. In other words, the frequencies that we tune into or that we allow into our minds, and sometimes quite unconsciously, they affect and create our lives. But it's a very subtle thing. Think about the metaphysical journey like this, because I think all of us are in this position. If a snake goes through a tube that's about its size, the only way out is through. We who have been touched by this thing called metaphysics, unity, science of mind, call it grace, we couldn't go back if we wanted to. But sometimes when we're going through that tube, we have a lot of questions. Well, how did I create this? Well, what will happen if I continue in persistent thought? Will it really affect me? Let me say this. There's only one problem that all of us have. I know it seems like we have myriads of problems, but there's only one. And that is, we've forgotten who we are. When we remember that we are children of a loving, holy God, set forth to create according to the frequencies that we entertain or the things that we brought with us from the other side. Let me give you an example. It may have been your destiny from the other side, a choice, to want to be a dancer, a painter, to be expressive. But you were born into a family where that was perhaps poo-pooed. And they said, you've got to be realistic. You've got to earn a living. In other words, the things that you wanted, that made your heart sing, were kind of pushed down in favor of what we call practicality. When I hear somebody say, I'm just being realistic, I'm just being practical, 9 times out of 10, they're being negative. But I believe that if you came in with a desire to express in a certain way, you may be too old right now to be a dancer the way you wanted to be, but in some way or another, you will bring dance into your life. You'll meet a partner who likes to. You'll be in maybe a group or a club or something. It will come out. You can't outrun your purpose. And so many times we think our purpose is doing something. If we're not doing, then we're not living. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of our life's work is done in the solitude and in the meditation. Why? Because that's where we fine-tune our frequencies, whether we call it that or not. Now let's go back to Judge Troward and the Edinburgh lectures on mental science in the mid-1800s. He talked about thought being things, thoughts being things. But now that we have come more than 100 years, I'd like to say that he was talking about frequencies being things. We vibrate to certain things and we attract them whether we know it or not. That's why it is absolutely so important to mind your mind. Stand porter to your mind. There are certain things, and I know that you walked into, well, not certain things, but certain experiences where you walked into a room and you have felt the energy just drop. You've seen it around you. You walked into a place where it's flowing like molasses. Folks in that situation are vibrating to a very low frequency. And what happens is, instead of keeping our vibrancy and our frequency up, we oftentimes join in that situation. And we perpetuate the very misery that we want to escape. I like to be real practical about things. And one of the things that I loved, one of the people that I love in my journey is Dale Carnegie. He said that most people are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. And he was quoting Abraham Lincoln. And I agree with that. But how do you make up your mind to be happy? How do you do this? Do you pray to a distant God and say, God, just give me that happiness. If you just throw it on me, I'll be all right. But you see, I've said that you give your life to God and God gives it right back to you because you have free will. How about that? Would you want it any other way, really? Would you want to be controlled by a distant deity? A far distant deity that's austere, that doesn't understand really, just interested in control. We call that, in this life, we call that dysfunctional in a relationship. But we call it divine with God, controlling everything. You are here to paint the canvas of your life. Nino Katsanakis, and I hope I'm saying that right. I've quoted him before, and I think that's the way you say it. He said, your life is a canvas, and you get to choose the paint. You get to choose the colors. And how are you going to do that unless you know and are intimately aware with the frequencies that are running you and guiding you? I'll tell you how subtle it can be. You can walk into that room, what I just mentioned about the energy being sucked down, and say, I don't want to be a part of it, and maybe walk out, but it stays in your mind as, gosh, that was really difficult. And what happens is we get more of that. Because what we think about, especially and only, really, metaphysically, what we think about, we bring about, even if it doesn't happen in real time out here, it happens inside us. You can hate somebody out there, but you realize they may not know it. You know it, you feel it, and you suffer from it. That's your reality. Your reality is true whether it outpictures here or not. But I will tell you, thoughts that are persisted in tend to manifest itself. We see through a pinhole right now in our way of living and thinking. If that little paper was taken away with a pinhole in it and we were able to see all of reality, I don't know that we could take it. I think that we may just faint. If we saw the different frequencies and the different things that are being attracted and repelled, if they were made visible, I think would overwhelm us. But you see, the invisible is more powerful than the visible. Why? Because everything that you see visibly had its genesis in a thought. A thought, a few microwatts of energy, and create a building, a chair, a car, electricity, things that we kind of take for granted right now. This is a thought-evolved universe. You are a thought-evolved being, and you have the grace to create your life. As I said, thankfully, not everything we think right away happens. It's as if the universe says, I want to give you some time to think about that. Are you sure you really want this? Some folks just want the car, the money, the relationship. They say, if I get that, I'm fine. And see, the problem is that when we get that, we want more and more and more. But if you enter a field of love and you're vibrating in that way, then you're more likely not only to get the things you'd like, but be happy when you get them, because you realize that that manifestation is just a small part, a very small part of what the most important thing there is, and that is relationship to ourselves and to others. If I asked you this morning what your predominant frequency was in your mind right now, what would you say? You think about it. Is it pain, sorrow, suffering, love, joy? Is it something you're remembering that happened some time ago? Is it something that you're remembering that happened yesterday? Or have you built your life around a story that somebody else told you? I tell this story about my father and I because it was so true. We were taking boxes into the storeroom and out of them. And he was talking to me about, and as I was a teenager, he was talking to me about my math grades. And he was a teacher, later became a clinical psychologist, but at that time he was a teacher. And we were walking along, and I had a box, and he had a box. And he said, Jay, all you have to do is apply yourself. And I said, Dad, I just don't have the aptitude for this. It's just this grace has not been given me for math. And of course, I hadn't become a real estate agent yet, which I found out 6% of something real quick. No, I didn't have any math disorder. I just didn't particularly like the way he had to do it. But I said, Dad, I just don't have the aptitude for it. He said, put the box down. And he said, you have the aptitude, you don't want to apply yourself. Now, you understand that? I said, yes, all right. Pick the box up, start walking. I said, but Dad, I'm not going to do anything with math. I know it. Jay, put the box down. And he gave me another lecture about how I'm forecasting negativity. And so we walked on, and he said, by the way, you might find your life built around math, and you'll love it. And I said, Dad, put the box down. I knew that although maybe I was resistant, I wasn't going to enjoy numbers. And when you're a minister, they give you a psychological evaluation. And I may have told you that one of the things they do, if you go in and just smart aleck enough to say, I have a mathematics disorder or whatever, they're not going to accept that. They have these, like the Blondie and Dagwood cartoons that are in the paper, and they cut, how they're in blocks. And they cut these blocks up and laminate them and mix them all up. And then while you're just not thinking they're doing anything that big, they shove it towards you and say, by the way, would you put this in order for me? And so I'm talking about something I think is big and important psychologically, and I just put them together, and I did it in about, 10 seconds. And he said, yeah, that makes sense. That's the cartoon follows is you don't have a mathematics disorder. You have a mathematics hatred. And I realized that was true. And then the grace that was given me by myself was the ability to go in and learn how to handle this better. I had no math problems. I just didn't like it. What do you have this morning that you just don't like, that you could turn a twist on? And the frequencies that you live by, those that mean something to you. And we all know a piece of music can do it, right? We've heard, I think we've heard the words ASMR, psychological term, autosomal meridian response. It's that term for the creepy crawly things that happen up the back of your neck when you hear something beautiful. And psychology, leave it to them to make the $10 words out of something that's just so romantic. I didn't even want to know what ASMR was, but I felt it many times. And I feel it the most when I enter love. When the frequency that I'm operating on is this. Now, this doesn't mean sentimental love everywhere. Let me tell you what my definition of the love that heals is. That you accept yourself and others as doing the best they know how to do at the time, and so are you. And you are okay with that. That's the beginning of loving. We think it has to do with romance, friendship. All that's true. All that is part of it. But when you recognize that you're living love, when you recognize the power of that, then your life takes on a whole different tenor and flavor. Then you can say your affirmations and believe them. So many people run up and put a laundry list of affirmations, and they don't believe it. They don't believe it because they haven't had the positivity to look at the negativity that's in them. Do you know that sometimes the most positive things you can do is look at the negative things that are in your life and turn them around? You can always choose again. And I will tell you, just for what I've seen, those who are vibrating on the highest frequencies and making things work in their lives that I've seen are Course in Miracles students. That is a very rigorous discipline, which total goal is peace of mind. What could you want more than that? You can get a car, you can get a house, you can get a relationship, and you can still be very, very upset and angry and all those things in your mind. But when you change the very way you see life, and the way we do that is love. The masters taught that. I ask you this morning to think about the frequencies that you're allowing, the things that would impinge on the love you want to be. There are no justified resentments. You are as God created you. And all these things down here, and we say down here because it's just what we know to say, all these things down here are out picturings of things that you have thought and that your ego has told you is very important. Let me tell you, the ego speaks first and loudest and is usually wrong. But when you go inside and have love and recognize that, that transcends that egoic thought. And you choose once again. Can you choose once again this morning about something that you think, I never could give that up? I can't forgive it no matter what. It's what has formed my life. I'm 60, 70, 80, whatever it may be years old. It's too late for me. Let me tell you something. While you're drawing breath, it's never too late. So many people on their deathbed finally have the time to face things. They don't go up and get a sandwich. They're not interested in cars and houses and all this. They're there with their thoughts. And a lot of work can be done in that arena, in that place. And we've heard it said, nobody has ever said, I wish I'd spent more time at the office. I wish that I had won that argument. It was, I wish I was able to love more, show it more. Life is poignant. It really is. And we bring a mixture of our ego and our God selves. And oh, we get so confused. But all we have to do is choose the frequency upon which we want to live. Does this sound trite to you if I say tune in to LOVE? Does that sound silly to you? I hope not, because it's the only thing that's ever worked, and it's the only thing that ever will work. We just don't want to try it because we like our justified resentments. I liked holding on to what I thought about I-10. I even liked holding on to certain things that in my family that I thought had to define me. They don't. And it took my dear father to show me I didn't have any mathematics disorder. Well, Dad and the psychologist who did the ministerial evaluation to show me that it ain't necessarily so. But when you're sitting across from someone, you can give grace to them. And what is that? Listening and saying, there is another way to live. Let me tell you what I found. Is that what it means about being our brother's keeper? I thought it was carrying a coat an extra mile. No. Maybe that. Being our brother's keeper means understanding that there are no separate interests really between you and the person in front of you. Uh-oh. That means that I love even those that are unlovable. What Jesus did. And that's what we're asked to do. Thief on the cross. Love that story. And that's where I fell in love with Jesus. Who forgave a man next to him who had done everything wrong. Didn't even forgive him, really. Said to the man who was so scared to his right, Master, I've done everything wrong, and it's right that I should be on this cross. You did nothing wrong, and you suffer. I'm scared. And Jesus said, today you will be with me in paradise. That's a love out of this world. And we're called on to embody that. As you go forward this week, think about the frequencies upon which you operate. Think about those little things maybe that you think, I've made peace with those, but they're wreaking some havoc with you. I love to get a journal, piece of paper, and write free form. That may be your way, may not. Whatever it is that takes you into yourself and lets you know that we are all one and that love is the only thing that works, no matter what you see. Whatever brings that forward in you, nurture it, love it, water it, hold on to it. It's the truth, no matter what any minister says, no matter what theology says, no matter what it's been said for 100 years. Love is the answer to every question. It is so. Amen. Always look behind me for this. It's always in there. Talk about habit. I ask you this morning, and for those of you tuning in, and there's so many of you that tune in, we appreciate it, would you please give the best gift you can? Because when you're in the frequency of giving, you're in the frequency of receiving. And that's a whole nother thing that I'll talk about sometime later. I ask you to give the best gift you can. Press the PayPal button at the bottom of your page that you're looking at this video right now. Or if you prefer, please send your gift to Unity of Boerne, P.O. Box 1973, Boerne, Texas 78006. That's Unity of Boerne, P.O. Box 1973, Boerne, Texas 78006. I ask you to give the best gift of which you're able here as Javier comes forward to take the offering. Thank you.
Freely, freely I have received. Freely, freely I give. To find love through me blesses all that I am, all that I give and receive. is all that I am, all that I give and receive.
Together in a frequency of love and expectation and wonder, we say, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I send it forth with my blessings and my love. So it is, amen.
Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time?